Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Low Code Café. Last week we had a special edition where we made a big announcement, but this week we are back to doing more hands-on low code development as we got you used to so far. But before that, I will take just a few minutes to show you our progress so far on the crowdfunding campaign. And for you, those of you that are new in this webinar that haven't been here last week, basically we decided to open up investment into Plant an App for anyone interested to own a stake in our company. And Plant an App, it's still DNN Sharp, taking to a whole new level. And just an angle to look at it that came up in the conversations in the past few days is, that awkward conversation when somebody asks you, like, what do you do? And you say, .NET Nuke, and they say, .NET what? Didn't this used to be a big thing 10 years ago? And when we start telling people that we're actually doing low code, that's when the conversation changes, right? It's not about some obscure technology, that used to be very popular a long time ago. It's more about the future, a new way to develop software, which basically is the same thing for our users. People that use DNN Sharp have been building low-code apps for many years, So this being said, we've opened this campaign and we got very good traction so far. So I wanted to thank everyone that invested in us and also in the future of DNN. We raised 17K so far. Half of this is from our DNN community, so greatly appreciate that. And our immediate first goal is actually to raise 25K because that's when Republic, this equity crowdfunding platform that we are using, that's when they actually start doing their marketing activities. And they have a big network of 150,000 investors, something like that. So we still need help to get there and also to bypass this investor mentality, because investors are usually followers. They are not usually visionaries, right? So as we raise more money, we'll give more trust for others to follow, because our objective here is not to raise 25K. Our objective is to raise 500K, right? Or even $1 million. So then we can put this more resources into developing product, developing features, but also scaling up sales, business development, marketing activities. Yeah, so far it's going good. We are on the right track. So I'm hoping that by end of this week or beginning of next week, we'll get to that minimum goal. So again, thanks a lot, everyone, for that invested. And if you didn't already, please invest and help us, all of us, including the community, get there. Cool. So that being said, let's get back to our content, to our technical webinar. So as I was saying, today it will be a technical webinar, and the main subject is we are going to implement queues. And this is a very good use case about email marketing, but in general. And we'll get to discuss more about when you use this design pattern in systems. Again, for those of you that are new to this event, this is something that we do every week. We start building a system that we continue developing week over week until we get it to a usable form. We started with a project management application a couple of many months ago. And then I think 6 weeks ago or something like that, we started working on this marketing system for sending emails. And there's a lot of features that we added, and I will show you. We'll get to them in the second part of this webinar. Usually we have a format where we also go over various things, like we have an episode about support, but Dale is on vacation. We are happy for him, but we'll skip this episode today. But we'll still have the regular episode with Reza and then the hands-on part with Radu. There are multiple ways to engage us, so please use whatever you see in Zoom that says Q&A, that says chat, that says raise your hand to engage with us. And this webinar is recorded, and the recordings will be made available probably tomorrow or beginning of next week on our YouTube channel, where you can also see all past editions as well. Cool. So without further ado, I would invite Reza to give us an overview of the product, what's happening, what's coming. Reza, are you there? Okay, if not, until Reza is back with us, I will take the time to talk a bit about the next part that will follow, and that is building queues, email queues in our case today. Let me just ping Reza in the meanwhile, so he knows that we are waiting for him. Cool. Okay, so the basic principle, you know, in software development, there are things that are called design patterns, right? Ways in which you implement software, so they make more sense as they scale, or they make more sense to process data in a certain way. So when it comes to email marketing, in our case today, you know, you have a lot volume of emails that you need to send, and you don't want to send it all at once, right? Because that means high usage of the CPU if you need to send, like, I don't know, 20,000 emails. But also there are other factors, like some servers might ban you for sending spam, for example, you know. So then what you want to do is the moment that you hit send campaign is actually schedule sending those emails in batches, right? So other scenarios when we can think of queues is, for example, importing data, right? So you import, let's say, a large spreadsheet, you know, that has, I don't know, 1 million rows, you know. So then it's about not doing 1 million queries or whatever it takes to get that data into the database, but more about developing a system where you can get the data in a queue fast, in seconds, and then have a background thread that consumes that queue and processes one thing at a time, or in batches, 20 things at a time. And then as things consume the queue, you also have like a good history. You can see what jobs failed, which succeeded, right? So it's very powerful, a very powerful design pattern. And I'm sure there are many other use cases. And I see we have Reza back with us. Hey.
Yes, sorry, I don't know. The computer just hung, and it was torture. I couldn't unmute, I couldn't camera. So
no worries.
I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, so I will start my share. You can take over to show us what's new, what's coming, what's happening, what's cool, and then we can follow up with building systems.
Wonderful. Shut down more than just this, but I've got it handy here. All right. So while that pulls up, I will just say that we have release 1.9 that went out last week and have had a little bit of feedback on that one. There's a couple of hot fixes that we've either delivered or that will be coming later this week. Action Grid had some issues with the grouped buttons and alignment. That's been taken care of, as well as one that was found with the GitHub integration. And essentially, the main repository was disconnected. And so your changes weren't getting pushed out, and a lot of errors were showing up in the logs. We've taken care of that. It's pretty much through testing, and as early as tomorrow, we'll have that out. As I previewed a couple of weeks ago, you now have the ability, as of 1.9, and 1.8 actually, to take the hot fixes and one-click install them. So you'll be able to just check in the update section, and from time to time you'll see those. We're going to do a better job of alerting and pointing that there are things available. Just didn't want to be intrusive with that out of the box until we kind of find what's the right way to get attention without interfering with the development work that's going.
Yeah, looks like we lost Reza again. Yeah, tough day in the internet world today. So perhaps let's leave this for the end of the webinar. Until then, maybe the technical difficulties are solved. And until then, let's move on to the hands-on part with Radu. So as mentioned today, we are going to build the email queue. And Radu, if you can join and share your screen. Just a brief overview. So for the past few editions, we built this marketing system that has a lot of features. Some are just related to sending campaigns, but also like we did more specific features because, you know, there's the questions, why would I build something when there's, I know, MailChimp, HubSpot and others, you know, and it's about flexibility. So for example, what we built in one of the past editions was just generating PDF documents. Like in our situation, we wanted to generate documents with use cases on an industry and generate those dynamic for each users and send them as attachment, you know. So that's something that you can't do with any email marketing software out there, do this kind of dynamic document creation and personalization. But again, 2 webinars ago, we also integrated with HubSpot because, yeah, you are building a new system, but you don't want it disconnected from the world. You still have your CRM where you have the contacts and the email addresses and so on. So we built all of this, and what we did so far, we just had a button that sent the email instantly to the few subscribers that we had in the database. What we are going to do today is change that send button to actually queue sending those emails. So instead of sending them instantly, we'll put them in a queue and consume it through a scheduler job. So Radu, you are free to take over and show us. Radu, I don't think I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
It seems like this mic is not working, so I can unplug it. Okay. Okay, so today, yes, we are gonna do queues. I think one mention one addition that I want to have, Bogdan, is sometimes doing the whole process in memory can run. You can run out of actually memory, not processor first. So this can be another issue of not doing big work in small portions. So for people who watched the previous episodes, they may know that right now we have one workflow that actually handles the whole sending and of the whole creation and sending of emails for us. And what we actually gonna do today is gonna split this workflow that you are seeing here in two, because some things only need to happen once, and some things need to happen each time we send a new batch of emails. So, for example, you know, updating the start date only needs to happen once. Loading, and this is actually where the queues are gonna start taking care of the job, is because we are going to load the local lists, the external lists, we are going to merge those together. We are going to update the documents if there are any documents. And after that, we are going to take all those informations here and put them in the email queue. And now what we are going to have at that moment, we're going to have, you know, we are going to have a big table, a big entity that has all the emails that we need to send for, you know, the first name, the last name, and also we're going to know the documents that we need. And for each individual email that we are adding to the queue, we are gonna need, and this is something that I think I've added off screen, overlaying your name over the documents that we are generating, and I'm gonna get to that in a few moments. And for the batches, let's say 10 emails at once, we are gonna just send the emails, and instead of marking the campaign ended at the end, if each time we send a new batch of emails, each time we send a new batch of email, we are gonna check if there are still remaining emails that we didn't, if there are still remaining emails to send in the next run. Otherwise, we can mark the end date as this is the last. This is gonna be the last run. But the first thing that we need to do in this situation is we need to create the actual entity list, the entity for the email queue. So I'm just gonna go really quickly and do this. So let's name it email queue. Emails, and I think here email queues. Let's select a nice icon. Do we have something for no? Well, this makes sense. We are gonna run a job each time for this list, so maybe this is what we're looking for. Let's move to the properties. So let's say the first thing first. So we are gonna need to know. We are gonna need to know what campaign we are queuing an email address for. So this we can do by adding a campaign property here, and we need the email. We need the first name, the last name, and if is sent. Okay, and let's assign the proper types here. So the email needs to be an email. First name, last name can stay as text, and is sent can transform itself in a Boolean property. The email property is gonna be the display name, and I'm just gonna click save really quickly. Cool. So now in the menu, you can see the email queue should be here. So what's gonna happen here? So let me just give you like a brief idea of how this is gonna work. You're gonna choose a campaign. You're gonna choose an email address. Radu. Okay, and I'm gonna click add. So what's gonna happen? So we are gonna have a scheduled job that is gonna run each minute, let's say each 5 minutes, and it's gonna check this list here, and everything that it has the is send set to false is gonna load into memory. It's gonna check which campaign I'm referring to, so I can pull out the template from that, and it's gonna replace the first name, the last name, generate any documents if the campaign in this situation has documents, and we can have a quick look here. So yes, it has one document, and it's gonna send to a local list and to external lists. It's gonna send the email, and after it's gonna send the email, we are gonna mark this as sent equals to true. First things first is we need to add. So the first thing is that we need to add all the lists assigned to a campaign here, so they can be sent. So for that we are gonna go and modify our existing workflow. Okay, so maybe I'm not gonna modify the existing one. Maybe I'm just gonna create a new one, and I'm only gonna pull the information, only the actions that I need in my new workflow. So this is, let's see, maybe I can duplicate this tab. I can put it here and this here. Come on. Okay, let me minimize this. So I'm gonna edit the send campaign. I want to pull some information from here and here. What I'm gonna do is I want a new workflow that I'm gonna call init campaign. Okay. or start, maybe it's easier. Start campaign. Cool. So what we need to do is the first line of actions that I have here on my left side, we are going to need to take each individual's action and move it here on the other side. And for this, we have this the cool feature of importing and exporting actions. So what we can do, you can just go and click an action. You can click here at the top, export, copy, and if you click import on the other side, you can see that we already have it here. I'm just gonna link it like this, and I'm gonna do this for the rest. Keep in mind, if it's your first time importing an action, the browser may notify you that the workflow manager is trying to automatically paste something for you, like here. So you can just click allow, and after that you don't need to worry about this anymore. Let me quickly move all those actions here. This can go here. Okay, another 3 of them. Export, copy, import. Okay. This one as well. Export, copy, import. Oops. Okay. Here. Drag. Really enjoying dragging and dropping everything. Oh, okay, so I import, my bad, I imported the thing twice. Delete this. Let's really quickly move this here. All right, so let me put an end for this workflow for the moment, and let me click save, and we can come back to this and come back and make the second workflow in a bit. But for the moment, let's focus on the new one that we created, which is start campaign. Maybe I still have something that I need to. So the only thing that I'm having as an input for this one, it seems to be the campaign. So let me copy the input parameter as well, which is a campaign. Cool, and an output. I don't have any output, so I can, okay, click save and come back. Cool, so I'm starting a campaign. I'm loading the internal list, the local list. I'm loading the external list. After that, I'm merging those two lists, and after that, I'm loading all the files, the elements for the components for the files that we want to generate, and after that, I'm updating as you can see here, I'm updating the PDF. I'm creating the PDFs again using the recursive PDF merge workflow that we did in one of the latest episodes. What I need to do right now is the fact that now that I have a merged list of everyone, in this case, in this case, it's called contacts. So one thing that we can do here, we need to import this in the email queue. So to do that, what we're going to need to do is execute, and I'm pretty sure there's a faster way of doing this, but I think this is going to be just the easiest way for me to demonstrate this. So I'm just going to do it like this. There's also a bulk import into the database, but I would like to go and use the generated actions from Plant and App in this situation. So I'm gonna, for each contact, for each contact that I have now in memory list that I pulled from the local and external campaigns, I would like to insert those in the email queue. So for doing that, I'm just gonna go and say create new email queue. The campaign should be the input parameter that I have right now, and I want to add the ID for this one. The email should be the contact. So contact. This is going to be a contact, and this is going to be false. So we have the email. We'll need the first name and the last name. Okay. And false. And that's everything that we need to do in this step for adding all the emails in the queue. Now let me click save and go to my other screen. Well, I can just do this. Okay, and let's go to the campaign and modify the send campaign button to say start campaign and start using the new workflow that we created. So I'm just gonna go and edit the listing on this page. Go to my send campaign. Well, let's rename it to start because it makes more sense for now. And instead of executing the send campaign, let's say execute start campaign. Cool. And I'm gonna delete this one, and I will need to pass the same input parameter, and I'm just gonna click save. Cool. So now what's gonna happen? Let me refresh the page really quickly because I changed the button name. I can click start campaign. I'm just gonna wait a few seconds, and now if I look into the queue, you see I have all my first entry that I did manually, but I queued all the email addresses that I want to send emails to. Let me clear this one. So those are the actual email addresses that I'm gonna send my campaign. Now we add them to the queue, but what we need to do right now is to actually send the emails. And maybe I'm seeing something. Maybe I missed. I feel like I missed something. I don't have the date that I actually sent the email, and I think this is going to be very useful, so we can demonstrate the batch capabilities of this implementation. So I'm just going to go really quickly back to the entities, and I just want to add to my email queue. Here we go. I want to add another column. Send date, and it's a date and time. I think it makes more sense like this. And I'm gonna click save, and I will need to go back to my workflow. Go to the start workflow, and let's see. Well, in this situation, I assume that the start date should be empty because we don't have any send date. Sorry, any send date yet. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay. So my new email queue looks something like this. So I know at this moment that I have well, how many? Eight emails that are not sent and are queued. So let's go back and create the second workflow that we are basically gonna pass. We are gonna ask it to take a number of top 3, 4, 5, whatever number of emails and send those to the actual email addresses. So let's go back. Let's go back to the configuration. Okay, let me go back to the process and minimize the workflow and create a new workflow. And this is gonna be send batch of emails. Okay, and I'm gonna click save. And what we need the actual last three set of actions here. I'm gonna import. It's not the final. In this case, we're gonna have to do some small modifications here, but we are on the right track. Let's see, import this as well. Good, and this is the last one. Sorry, export, import, in this as well, and save the workflow. Cool. I think I know what I actually missed here also as the first time. We need to we need to add the campaign as a parameter, because the majority of things are gonna happen on the, sorry about this. We need to add the campaign also to have this as an input parameter. So let me click save. Cool. Now let's have a look of the set of the batch of the emails, because in this situation something changed. Now, because we were in the first workflow, we already had the list in memory, so we didn't need to do anything else. But right now we don't know about what we need to, who we are gonna send the emails. So the first thing that we actually need to do is here load the emails of the batch, basically, that we want to send the emails to. And for that, I'm just gonna add here a load actions from SQL. I'm gonna say select everything from app.email. Let's email queue. I think that's what I need. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna for me to be easy, I'm just gonna name this entity contact, because that's the actual the entity name that I was using in my previous workflow. So just to keep everything simple and minimize the risk of a mistake. So now that I have all the contact emails that I want, the next thing that I need to do is, well, now that I see, I think I made a mistake. I think I don't need actually the campaigns, because I don't need the campaign here to pass it as an input parameter, because the campaign is gonna come from from this query here. Because what happens in a real case scenario is the fact that you may have back-to-back multiple campaigns to multiple lists, and I don't need to know the campaign when I'm running. I need to pull the campaign based on who the email is gonna be sent to. So in that situation, I don't need this to be an input parameter. This is more of a processor of the queue. All right, so I have my contacts here. Let me see for 1 second. So these are the documents. Well, this is gonna be a little bit tricky, because I was pulling for each individual campaign, and now that I have multiple campaigns, I see. So those are the documents that I want to send for each individual email, and those were the parameter for those was based on the the parameter for those was based on the campaign ID. But now, because the campaign ID may change during the execution of the workflow, I might need this action here to be moved inside the actual execution for each individual file. So what I can click on export here. Let's see here. So for each individual contact, I'm going to need to pull the documents that need to be assigned. So I need to import those here individually for each execution. And instead of having the campaign ID here, I'm going to need to have the, let's see, so the contact campaign. Yes, something like this needs to happen. So I need to check. So the idea is that I'm checking each time what are the documents I need to send to each individual person, not as a workflow level, but for each individual entry that I want to send to. So I'm just gonna delete this really quickly here. Okay, and another thing that we need to actually do is, well, I was just repeating batches. So the whole idea is that we need to have, how many emails do we want to send in each individual, let's say each individual execution of this workflow. So let's see, I'm pulling just the first 3 emails from the queue. Maybe I can order those also by created date. And if you give me 1 second just to be sure that's the proper column, the column name, it's created date, yes. Okay, so it's created it. So each time I'm just pulling the first 3 emails that were added to the queue, and I'm trying to execute all the actions needed for those emails to be delivered. So I can click save here, and well, now each time, so another thing that we need to do is gonna be to mark every time that we are sending an email, we need to mark that email that it's sent, so we are not gonna pull them next time. So for doing that, we can just go and say partially, partially update an item from the email queue, and we want to update the is sent to true and the send date to date now O, which is gonna transform this to an ESO date, so the action will know about it. And the actual ID of the email queue that we want to update is the contact ID, I think. Okay, so we are updating this as sent. Now, what we need to do is to see if this, so the idea is going to be something like this. We're going to take 3 emails and we're going to do the whole process that we need to do to send those 3 emails. And we're going to take another set of 3 emails. We're going to send those. We're going to wait a period of time, and we're going to, but at some point we are going to finish the list. So to do that, well, this is, I'm just thinking that because yes, still the same. Well, this is the same problem here because the workflow before was used only on a specific campaign to be sent, but in this situation, we cannot. The problem is that the queue can have entries from multiple campaigns at the same time, so it's not correct to say when I'm finding the queue is 0 at some point, so I don't have any other emails to send to mark the campaign empty, but I don't know which campaign I need to do. So again, this is maybe not the best solution to do it, but I think I will need to actually check here if the email that I sent, it's the last email for this particular queue. There are other ways to do this, but I'm just gonna take the easiest version to explain in this situation. Okay, so let me open a query and let's write a small query here that is gonna query for us how many emails a campaign has left. So let's see. Let me refresh this. So my newly created table, it's gonna appear here. Okay, give it 1 second. Maybe I can, until this is ready. Well, come on, don't disappoint me. Well, I can do it without you. Let's run a SQL query here, and let's say select count ID from app.emailQ where is sent equals to 0. So there are it's yes, where there are emails not sent yet, and the campaign equals to the parameter campaign here, which is actually the campaign, the email queue campaign email that we're sending. So this is gonna be a contact campaign. All right, and I'm gonna store the result. Let's say still to send. Send, sorry, still to send here. So how many I have left? If, and this is something we can do like this. So in the case, let's see if we need to partially update campaign, and the campaign the end date needs to be date now. So the last execution of the the last execution, and the campaign, it should be contact campaign. And the condition for this to run, it should be if still to send, there are no other emails to be sent at this moment. So there, if this is 0, so there, that previous email was my last email that I wanted to send. Then in this situation, this campaign can we can mark the end date for this campaign. All right, let me click save. And I know this workflow, well, this is not a very big workflow because the majority of things are happening here in the this happened again. All right, so I may need to redo. So I think the save messed up some of the actions here. So one was what was the first action? I sent the email, and all right. So I need to partially update. Sorry about this. I need to partially update the email queue as sent. Let me do this really quickly. This is gonna be true, and this is gonna be date now. And the email queue is gonna be contact. Right, and I was, instead of this one, I was having a check run SQL query. SQL query that was actually checking account ID as, I'm gonna come back to this from app.email where is equals 0 and campaign equals campaign, and the campaign is the contact campaign without space. Let me pull my name, so still to send. This is what I want to use. So this is going to be my alias, and this is going to be my store result. Let me click save really quickly and save again, and see if everything. So let me see if this batch works. Everything's saved properly this time. Well, again. All right. Let me, I think I know why this is happening, but before I come back to fixing this, let me go to actually the main thing that I want to show you. So the idea will be to have this job that we have right here, the workflow that I just created, and I can call this consume queue in this portal with the context user, the admin. I would like to, so each repeat on an interval. So let's say each minute, maybe we can make each 30 seconds. We can fire on continue, and if it's running, let's mark it down. So in the case that the small workflow that we made that is consuming three emails at a time, it's still working. When we want to trigger it again, in that situation, we are gonna skip that run. So this is gonna be our main trigger, and the only thing that we need to do here is to execute the send batch emails. And I think this should not be here. I think I left something wrong. Let's save this, disable it for the moment, and we can come back and enable this job to run this specific workflow each 30 seconds. Going back to the workflows. Why is this? So this should not have. Oh, okay. So I think the campaign ID is not all right. So the campaign ID is not gonna be asked in any case. So let me see how I can make this. So this one, let's take it easy and add one action at once. So I still need to partially update the email queue. So let's try this again. Contact ID. Again, is sent is true. The send date is date now. Oh. Okay, and I'm just gonna click save and save. And I'm gonna come back and add my last action. Okay, so this is saving. Okay, and I need to run my SQL again. I'm so sorry I didn't save this. It's my third time writing this. Select count ID from app.email queue, where is send equals 0 and campaign equals, and I can just copy paste from here. Campaign, this is the input parameter, this is the contact campaign, and the result should be this. Sorry, not this one, this one. Still to send. All right. Store the result, save again, and come back again, and just reorder those in the proper format. You know what? I'm just gonna copy this in case this happens again. Okay. So first we need to update to mark this as send, and this we need to check if the campaign is finished, and if it's finished, we set up the end date. Okay, save. All right. This looks. It looks good. Cool. All right. So let's enable. Let's go back to this automation, and let's see if we enable this job right now. This is gonna run in a few seconds, I suppose. All right, and it didn't run properly, so let's see why. Execute failed, try partially update record. This didn't work. So, right, so partially update record, what record? Entity 75. All right, let's see what's wrong in my workflow.
So by the error, it looked like a permission issue.
Yep. I see. I need to just figure out which one is doing the well. If this is a permission issue, then that means maybe the automation doesn't run under the proper under the proper user that has the proper permissions. All right, so which user does the, well, I can check really quickly. This is the username of the admin. Let me Let me put this here. Let me click save. And if I go back here, this tick, so this is valid. Okay, let me see. So in how many, in 8 seconds, this should trigger again. Hopefully this time this is gonna work. And I think it's no entity with entity name file list. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, file list. So I think I'm missing something in my workflow. When I splitted the workflows, I think I missed something here. So here, these are all right. Partially. Wait. That's not okay. Partially update. Wait a second. Did he execute? Oh, okay. I know what happened. I need to go to my send campaign. I think something didn't save properly. I think I'm missing this one. Export, copy, back, don't save. Send batch of emails. Come back here. Import this action. All right. This, I said this should be the contact campaign. Let me save it. Save. Let me go back again and put this as the first action here. But likely until next time, I'm gonna redo that action in being in a workflow because it starts to be a little bit unreadable. And I can go back to my workflow and I can either, well, it's running. So I think we are having a success. This time it's still running. So, right, and something else happened. Cannot send mail. Why?
Says there that message is too long towards the end, right?
Message. Oh, exceeded storage allocation.
Okay, so it might be a problem with our SMTP server that we'll have to look at.
Okay, but this means that the queue itself, it's not the queue itself. It didn't get consumed. So even if, well, it's a problem only with you, it seems.
Cool.
But 2 of them were sent in a specific batch. I'm gonna investigate this, but I'm gonna leave a few minutes for Reza to.
I think also maybe because of the file attachment, the messages were too big and they didn't allow too many such longer messages to be sent in a shorter period of time. So then maybe it's just about queuing less emails to be sent in a batch, right? That could also be the case.
Okay.
So this would depend on the SMTP server configuration, what external providers do you use, and so on. Cool. So yes, thanks a lot, Radu. This is a very, very powerful technique. We use it in many different use cases when we need something not to be processed immediately. And I'm hoping now that you have a very good understanding and use it successfully. So let's give Reza back a few minutes to bring us up to speed with what's happening on the product side.
All right, hoping that the third time is going to be the charm here for me today. Otherwise, it's just not my day. So really quickly, I was speaking about 110. There are some hot fixes coming. The action grid buttons, info box has a couple, and the GitHub integration was having some issues and it's fixed, and we'll be pushing those out against 1.9. and you'll be able to access and download those right out of the updates section of App Builder with the hotfix section, and they're just one-click installs. Kind of the touch on a few of the high points of what's coming here in 110. We've got that new listing and calendar template, the one-click activation, being able to reorder the fields that you've defined in your entities. Also the KPI dashboard that we rolled out, going to make that even better and be able to, one, have it added to your new entities and pages automatically. That'll be a choice that you can select to turn on, as well as being able to target those tiles down deeper and put a where clause essentially against them. Something that's come up a little bit and maybe been the source of some confusion is that we have a number field right now and a money field. In reality, the money field behind the scenes is a decimal, and people were having to use that when they needed a decimal because the number field was an integer. So we're splitting those out, and what you'll actually end up getting after this release, it will all be backwards compatible, is specifically, I want an integer, I want a decimal, or I want to do money. And the difference there between decimal and money being that it does some validation and pretties up. It's a special kind of field that you can use to define your inputs on forms and things like that. Kind of looking ahead at 111 and the kind of the rest of the year, we have a lot of ambitions and a lot of things we're working on. So I'm just going to touch on some of the higher things that I'm pretty sure we're going to get to. One is really focusing in, and we've been working with the community a lot and getting some great feedback around, you know, even if you kind of have used the products and things in the past, this mindset shift of kind of plant an app and app builder takes a minute to make that shift. And so we're really wanting to put some work in and improve that onboarding experience, starter templates, really dialing in the videos and having the step through kind of happen right there in the app the first time you're experiencing it to kind of jumpstart and make that experience really good for starting out. So we hear you on that, and we're aware, and we're going to make it better. Got a new skin we started working on, Bootstrap 4. So we're working on that right now. Won't release it until next time. There's just going to be some compatibility and changes that need to happen in some of the modules, but it's pretty slick, and it's a different look and feel, and allows you to kind of represent your application differently and get more kind of on the screen and not be pinched for space with that left navigation menu. The user experience wise, kind of as you build your apps out and they become more complex and mature, you're going to see you start having a lot of entities and a lot of workflows and things. And so wanting to introduce a concept of kind of grouping and being able to kind of name different parts of your application and have things kind of bundle up there so they're easier to find and easier to keep together. More access to system logs and debugging info. This one's a big one, and you saw it today when Radu was working and had to have the screens side by side on the workflow action import. So we're going to have kind of the ability to clone a workflow right within the instance you're in. So you can say, this one has everything I need. It's so close, except I want it to be a little different. And you'll just be able to clone that, rename it, and make some adjustments, as well as exporting and importing entire workflows within different instances of App Builder. Really pushing on this dashboard and keeping that going, really breaking into the space of low-code analytics. And so we'll have the SQL data source coming, being able to have the colors of the tiles and visuals be dynamic based on the values that are coming back. So if you've got certain counts or results that are coming back, you can say, make this red, otherwise make it green. So you're getting kind of a real heat map that you're able to generate. And then it's one thing to show information, it's another thing to make it actionable. So being able to click on the tiles themselves and then specify actions that'll run. So now the dashboard can surface good information to you, and then you can drill in deeper, refresh or target a grid, pop up the details behind that, all sorts of things, the normal actions that you could take in a form or anywhere else in the system, looking to make those available right out of the dashboards as well. And then introducing some new visualizations, like we talked about, line charts and pie charts and different types of graphs and things like that, because there's only so much you're going to get out of a little tile. Security, always making progress there, and a lot of things going on. One I did want to touch on, and I know there's several people waiting for this or looking to it. We've been on a quest to get the Angular JS library that powers Action Grid, Action Form, some of these other client side, front side facing modules up. We're at 1.5 right now. We've managed to standardize everything to be on the same version. So it puts us in a good spot to make a one step forward on all of them to 1.8, which is kind of the latest and has, there's some security vulnerabilities and things that are identified in the current version we're on and some of the others. So we're going to take that step all the way forward, looking to take that up next release. And as always, more and more, we're always looking at the community portal for ideas, working with people individually, getting feedback. So keep that coming. Feature requests or anything that just doesn't make sense, let us know. And that's what's really driving the roadmap. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Reza. Very interesting stuff coming. And there was a question in the chat about upgrading. I think maybe it's worth reiterating that people that are previous to 1.8 should upgrade incrementally to 1.8. And after that, it's a one-click upgrade process. We added this feature in 1.8. So that will be very, very easy to do going forward.
Yeah, that is the best path though for now.
Cool. So thanks everyone for being here in this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it, you learned new things, and then we will be seeing each other again next week in the Low Code Cafe webinar. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, all over the world. Bye.